So a lot of the work then became down to Pam Carbis and how we could pull together this choir, a scratch choir, to learn, well, 4 of the carols, because some of the carols were sung by all of the groups and the congregations as well. So they had 2 carols that they were going to sing on their own, but also 2 other carols that were going to be sung in conjunction with the other choirs and the congregation. So Pam's role then was quite critical in terms of doing that, setting up the rehearsal times across the Roseland in the autumn of last year, bringing them together and rehearsing them with each of those carols. I went to all of the rehearsals except one that I couldn't get to. I provided the support in terms of putting together the packages of all of the music, complying with all of the requirements of University Sheffield in terms of their project requirements to get feedback, to provide all of the warnings for GDPR and all of those safeguarding and those sorts of things. And I felt personally that if I was asking these people to come and sing these carols, that I should turn up at the rehearsals and be with them. In retrospect, I'm really glad that I did, because I feel now that I went on the journey with them. I experienced what they experienced, because albeit that I can't sing, I did sing along with them, but quieter, so that I didn't ruin their performances. But I did. In retrospect, I did feel part of their journey as well as providing the backup for them. So there were rehearsals then throughout the Roseland at differing places, including at Tregony, and it culminated with a joint dress rehearsal in late November at Porthscatho at the Memorial Hall, where all of the choirs, including Amici Voci and the Roseland Churches Choir, the Children's Choir, and St Anthony Noise, were all involved, and that was crucial. But you know, again, I must emphasise that Pam was doing a lot of the organisation here, and it was absolutely essential to be able to do that dress rehearsal and to be able to have an evening where we Pam marshalled the troops and told everybody where they were going to be and where they were going to move. That was absolutely brilliant.
Because it is by far, I think, the most complex service of Cornish carols that has happened at the cathedral. The diaspora one was sort of similar in structure, in that there were 3 choirs and 3 banks of 3 carols, but we didn't have a band to accompany, and there wasn't a children's group, and so there was an awful lot to marshal, and Pam did an absolutely incredible job making it run incredibly smoothly, because with that amount of moving parts and moving people, the more shuffling and faffing around you have in a service, people get tired and it doesn't flow, and she made it flow brilliantly.
I should we've mentioned the children's choir, which Pam was instrumental in pulling together and doing, but I need to mention one other person as well, which is a lady named Kay Robinson, who is the musical director of a singing group called Phillies. And she became very much involved in the rehearsals with the children and making that fun in terms of the Ruin Lanihorn. And I think initially the children had some difficulty learning the words, but when they'd learnt the words, it clearly became more fun for them.
And they did a dance as well, didn't they? Well, not a dance, but some movements that they incorporated, some actions that made it more of a performance, which I thought was lovely.
It was an interesting thing, because it was the girls themselves in the choir that decided that they would like to do these gestures along with the singing, and we sort of went with it, but it was entirely their instigation and invention, but it clearly made it much more fun for them to be able to do that. They certainly, the choirs certainly enjoyed the sort of warm-up where they were singing the Pizza Hut songs and things like that as part of the warm-up in the rehearsals. But yeah, and again, I mentioned the dress rehearsal in late November, But one of the things we did there was that we got the children's choir to sing their song in front of everybody else at the dress rehearsal, so that they had had an opportunity to perform it before they got to the cathedral.
I think that's really important, because for the children, I think the cathedral could have easily been very overwhelming. It's a huge, impressive, beautiful space, and acoustically it's very different to anywhere that they would have rehearsed. So while Amici Voci have sung there before, I'm not sure if Roseland Church's choir would have sung there before, and the scratch choir, it would have been, going from I don't sing to now I'm singing at Truro Cathedral. That's quite a leap to make in the space of 3 months. So for all those reasons, the dress rehearsal, which was about a week before the service, I think, the service was on the 4th of December, was really, really important. And the night itself went smoothly.
It did.
We had a huge amount of help from a certain Chris Trevina, who stepped in to ensure that we were able to live stream the service in a way which had in previous years been done through Truro Cathedral, but they couldn't provide the same help this year. So Chris, who's behind the camera right now, stepped in to make sure that we could live stream onto the Federation of Old Cornwall Society's YouTube channel, which means that there's a record of it for the future. People can listen to it whenever they like, but also people could tune in if they couldn't come to the service. And I thought that was always hoped for as a part of the service